They become overlords, maybe by money, inherited money, selling themselves to Satan in the first place, and he will make you rich. It's very easy to become rich. You sell yourself to be a servant of Satan, and you can become very, very rich. And many feel quite happy with what they're doing. They're not concerned about anybody else. Therefore, they continue in their rebellion. And the believers, the so-called Christians, say that they're under grace. This is true. But by grace, they mean license. License to do absolutely anything. Anything goes. Sin, wickedness, evil of every type of perversion. Because they reason that God is the God of love, and he will accept anything and then come and give us a group hug. Well, it will never happen. Exodus 21:20 and verse 1 says, "And God spake all these words, saying," verse 2, "I am the Lord thy God." See, first of all, he declares who he is. He doesn't just say some words and leave it up to us to determine who is speaking. No. He says, "I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage." This is referring to the nation of Israel, biblical Israel at that time. But it also applies to us. It is the eternal God who brings us out of wicked, evil Babylon, Satan's system which controls the entire world. There isn't a place on the earth that's not controlled by him. And anybody who escapes from this, it is the eternal God who has brought them out. You see, this first commandment is saying that nothing in the whole of the creation should come before the eternal God. Nothing. It's in Exodus 20 and verse 3, it says, "Thou shalt have no other gods before me." So what do? We promptly set out to make other gods. Idols of any kind whatsoever are forbidden. Often in ignorance, the people are worshipping devils and they do not know. Of course, the end result of worshipping devils is that you're cursed. Behind every idol is a devil. Thus we see in verse 9, in Revelation chapter 9 and verse 20, "And the rest of the men which were not killed by these plagues," talking about the plagues at the end time, which will be on us in the not too distant future, "repented not of the works of their hands." So it's saying the people didn't repent of the things they made. They preferred to worship the things they made. Some of them are actual literal images, but then there are cars and all these other modern contraptions with which we surround ourselves. "They repented not of the works of their hands, that they should not worship devils." So it's telling us quite clearly in Revelation that people are worshipping devils. And remember that Revelation is written to the churches and not the people at large. "They should not worship devils and idols of gold and silver and brass and stone and of wood, which neither can see, nor hear, nor walk." So God is saying, these idols you make, they're nothing. Absolutely, even less than nothing. All humanity is, we are told, is less than nothing. All of us, all 7 billion. We are a negative quantity. And it says vanity. Vanity has no substance. All involvement with evil spirits is sin. This was the undoing of Eve. She listened to Satan rather than to her Creator. And the attraction for us is exactly the same today. And so we follow Eve. And this is where idolatry started. The eternal God told Eve in Genesis chapter 3, he says, you know, there are 2 trees in the garden. It starts in chapter 2, but looking at it from chapter 3, there are 2 trees in the garden. the tree of life, which was Christ, and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, which is death. And Satan said, no, God said, don't eat of that. Don't worry. If you eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, your eyes will be opened. You will become like God. Exactly what he wanted to do. And that's how idolatry works. It looks pleasant and good, acceptable and desirable. So Genesis 3:6, and when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, see, it was good for food, it was pleasant to the eyes, it was desirable to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof and did eat, and gave to her husband, and he also ate. So Satan focused on their lusts. They weren't happy that they were in an idyllic situation, a perfect man, a beautiful, perfect wife. That wasn't enough. Similarly today, we're not contented. Whatever we have isn't good enough. We want more. We want this new gadget, that new gadget, and on it goes. You know, some of these man-made objects, like literal statues, from time to time we hear of them weeping and bleeding and laughing and smiling and stuff. Well, they can't do that. They can't do that. That's what Revelation 9:20 said. They can't do that. We just quoted that above. They can't do that. That is the activity of the evil spirit, the devil, behind the idol. But then people take these satanic signs as being wonderful, wonderful miracles, and they hasten from all over the world to bow down and worship and pray to these images for healing and all sorts of things. This is straightforward idolatry. The second commandment, this spells out in great detail that we should not actually make anything with our hands so that it becomes an object of worship. And we are told that if we do this, we are already judged. And we are judged to have hated the eternal God. Well, that's something we don't want to do. We really don't want to get on the wrong side of the eternal God. It says in verse 20 and verse 4, it tells us not to make anything that is upon the earth, in the heavens, on the water underneath the earth. It's telling us there's nothing you must make that you can worship. And in verse 5 of Exodus 20, thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me. So it says, if you get involved in idolatry under any guise whatsoever, you are regarded as someone who hates the eternal God. Exodus 20 verse 6, it says, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thousands, and not just thousands of people, but thousands of generations. Well, there are many other gods not mentioned in the commandments, but they're mentioned elsewhere. You know, there are some people who live to eat and to drink, to the extent that the Ephraimites, the English, are referred to as the drunkards of Ephraim. Yeah, drinking is a big problem over here, and the government keeps telling us they're going to increase the price of drink to solve the problem. Of course, this is just a means of getting more income, more tax from people. It will never solve the problem.